Hi and welcome back. This is Winter. She is the senior supervisor. She's very much in the background. She's going to supervise today while we talk about how to train new orchid spikes. So thank you for coming over for a visit, and let's go see what we can do. So let's start with spots right here. As you can see, this is looking at her from the front, and you can see that her spike is going that way because this is the front. So when she first started growing her spike, I took her out of the cool down room that is right back there, and I moved her here because I have a grow light right here, and I moved her so that that spike would grow towards the light, so that once she's completed and those blooms open up, I can turn her around to the front and we can enjoy those blooms. And over here, let me get up here on my stool so we can see a little bit better, is we have baby pink clouds, and then that back there is iris. And for those of you who have seen some of my videos from earlier this year will know that iris was in bloom from January. I think I cut that spike in September, but she promptly put out another spike. And I allowed that to continue to grow because she has lots of roots in the pot. She's doing leaf growth. So she's healthy enough. She's not putting out spikes to survive, because some Phalaenopsis will do that because, of course, that is the way that they reproduce. But if you can see, her spike is going towards the Barina light, as well as baby pink clouds. I've moved her around backwards as well, so that that spike, once it blooms and opens up, I can turn her around and enjoy her from the front. We have our Oncidium twinkles here that I've moved a little bit closer to the light because they were trying to grow towards the lighter wall back there. So I've moved them closer so they get more bright light right here under the light. There's about 8 or 9 spikes on that one. And then this one here, as you can see, this spike, do you see how it's growing towards, again, the Barina light there? Those back there are growing towards the brighter light. And I had a question from one of my subscribers wanting to know how many lights I had on my grow shelf. And I have a total of 8 lights. There's 2 lights on each shelf, and they are kind of centered into the shelf. Let's see, do we have any more spikes up here to talk about? No, but we do have our lovely, it was sold as the yellow bird, but she doesn't look very yellow, even if you take the pink off. And she is starting to darken up, so I have seen pictures where they start off a little bit brighter and then they get darker. But she does have another bud she's working on there. All right, now anything down here? Nope. So let's go down here to the Summer Phals novelties. We have a few spikes here. So we have the Japan Evergreen that has these 2 spikes here. And since moving her under here, this one has kind of straightened a little bit. It was kind of leaning a little more forward. But my Phalaenopsis Taishing Fly Eagle, that spike has peeked over and, as you can see, is growing again towards the light. Now back here we have the Phalaenopsis Inscriptiosus. I know I chopped that up, do it every time. But the 2 spikes that you see she came with, but if we look really closely back here, she has roots, and then there's another spike growing. So I'm hoping that when that spike comes, it grows again towards the light, because I have moved her forward to get the brighter light on this side so she doesn't grow towards the wall. This one here, this is the Sogo Vivian, which we did a care collab on. So her spikes are turned this way simply because by the time I found the spike, it was already growing in that direction, and to keep it from getting all winky, I moved it and left it there. The Mini Mark is still in gorgeous bloom. But when I was checking my cool down room to see if there was any progress on the orchids, and guys, I'm going to apologize if it's a little shaky. My doctor has me on some new medication that it does tend to make me a little shaky. So I apologize if it's shaky, but let's look up under here. Let's see, can you see it? Let me zoom in just a wee bit and then lift the leaf. I bet we can see it then. But surprise, my Philippensis has a spike on her. What an amazing thing. So of course I took her out of the cool down room just because she was sitting on that top shelf and I didn't want it to get too cool on her and blast that bud. So she is sitting here. This is the brightest light. In theory, that spike should find the light. So it should come out from this side here. Now it might come out from that side depending on where the orchid feels the brightest light is. Now visually to me, where we're looking at her now is the brightest light, but the back side could be the brightest light for her. Now let's move over here to these girls. So this is, which one is this? This is the Chin Diamond. Oh, let me get the tag. I know it's the one that I think looks like, oh well, I was going to take that off anyway. The Chains in Diamond. If we look at her, her spike is growing towards that light right there. And I put the cardboard there. Again, she's facing forward but sideways. I put the cardboard there to block the light coming from this side because she might think that's brighter than this side over here. So by putting the cardboard up there, it blocks the light from there, forcing her to go towards the light I want her to go towards. Same thing down here with, I think this is Peaches. It is Peaches. I have this cardboard here because I want that spike to go towards the window. And as you can see, she's starting to bend towards the window. Now recently, on my big white one here, this one, I put a cardboard because this spike that you see, and I do have it staked because if it's going to be like this one and I have her in the pot not hanging up, I don't want to bump the spike and possibly damage it. So I do have it growing on that spike, but the spike was growing towards the shelf light, which would have put the flowers in the back of the plant. I put the cardboard here, and as you can see, that spike is now turning towards the light of the window and that grow light. So if you look also at my soft clouds here, this spike is going towards the window because that is the brightest area here. And once she blooms, I'll be able to turn her around forward so that I can enjoy the blooms. So the way to encourage spikes to grow the way you want to, I guess force them to go in the direction you want. And sometimes you have to use kind of off-the-wall methods like cardboard boxes, or I wouldn't suggest using a piece of white paper or anything that's bright because of course then they'll start going towards the brighter unless you put it on the opposite side to make that area a little brighter, but then you have other issues to deal with. But so far, this has worked for me in the past, putting up the cardboard and blocking the light from the back of the plant and forcing it to go towards the brighter area. All right, well, we will look at these lovely ladies once they come into bloom. Everyone have a wonderful day. Again, leave your comments below and let us know how you train your new orchid spikes.